Welcome back to Drive Your Thoughts podcast. I'm your host, Master Coach Carrie Marshall, and it's time to go after those goals.
Yeah, whether ready or not, life's coming hard, no breaks, no stop. And if you put me on the spot, don't get it twisted, I never drop. If you feel a bit out of control and out the box, here's a way that you could drive your thoughts. Turn this podcast on, it's a lock. Carrie Marshall on the clock.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We are going to be talking today about how it gets so lonely at the top. Such a fun topic, right? So I have the opportunity and the privilege to coach a lot of high achievers. It is such a privilege and an honor for me. But the one thing that I notice with all of them is that at one point or another, they start to feel pretty alone. Now, that doesn't mean that they're lonely, and there is a very big difference between the two. But what I see is that the more that we start to do things to create success in our life, the further and further along that it keeps us from other people. So I want to give you an analogy here. My brothers have hiked Mount Rainier several times, and it is a really challenging hike. It is not just like your walk in the park. There are definitely different things that you need. You need actual specific equipment. You need some training. There's a lot of different things because it's very, very icy at the top. There's lots of different things that can go wrong. And so here's the thing. There's an entire park, national park, around Mount Rainier. And so when you're at the bottom, you see people like me. We are there on those paved trails doing all of the little hiking. We're taking pictures of the mountain. But the further and further up you get on the mountain, the less people you see. So one of the times that my brother was actually climbing on Mount Rainier, my brother Eric, he wanted to propose to his girlfriend at the time at the very top of the mountain. So he was with Eric, my brother, Ashley, his girlfriend, and then he was with my dad and our Uncle Dave. And so they wanted to do this hike, and Eric took the ring. I can't believe he did that, but he took the ring with him to the top of the hill. But as they started to climb up, they actually were with several different groups. Now, when you want to summit a peak like that, you start in the really, really early mornings for several different reasons that I don't know, but somebody does. But they started up early. Well, the closer they got to the top, a storm started to brew. Now, a lot of people in that circumstance were turning around and going back because they thought, okay, the storm's going to come in. By the time it gets in, we're going to be back at the top, but then we're going to have to come down through the storm, and it gets really treacherous in a storm-like situation. And so they all turned around. My brother was bound and determined to propose to his girlfriend at the top of that hill. And so they kept going. And so when they got to the top, they were the only ones up there. Eric quickly proposed. Ashley quickly said yes. And I don't know if she put the ring on or not, but I do remember that I actually think she did put the ring on, but they had to get off the hill really fast. But this is something that Eric said. He had gone and summited before, and he said it was so busy at the top. And so he said it was actually a really cool experience, even though it was really, really crazy and, the storm and everything. But he said we were alone at the top of this hill. So why does that matter when we're talking about business and creating success through your goals? Well, what you're going to find is the closer and closer you get to achieving goals and then achieving goal after goal after goal, you're going to go further and further up that success mountain is what I like to call it. And when we get to closer to the top of Success Mountain, you're going to notice that a lot of people stayed at the bottom where there were paved trails. So being successful can be really lonely, but it doesn't mean that you're alone. Go the other way for that. You can be alone, but not lonely. And so that matters because what I see is that when we're talking to entrepreneurs, successful people, high achievers, and they're telling me that they're alone because they've gone and done things that have never been done before. We want to actually bring it back and remind people that that's sometimes what creates success. The most successful people I know do things that the majority of the population won't do. That means that it doesn't mean that they're always doing big things, but it means that there's consistent. I have one of my friends that has not missed a personal development day in the past decade. That is saying something. And there's a reason that he's one of the most successful people in his industry. Another one of my friends has never missed doing a sales call Monday through Friday, which once again is why he has created one of the best sales teams ever in his industry. So when we're talking about this feeling of success and being alone, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to go almost back to that example and the analogy of climbing Mount Rainier. And we want to make sure that we're doing a couple of things. So when we're talking about actually climbing the mountain of success, I want to tell you that we need to make sure that you're bringing a couple of things with you. Every great climber has great equipment. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what equipment you need to climb the mountain of success. So the first thing that you need is you're going to need a guide or a map. You cannot climb Mount Rainier unless you're going up certain ways, because it is actually deadly if you tried to do it any of these different other ways. And it's the same thing when we're going about success. Yes, there are those rogue climbers. We always hear about them. But we want to make sure that you're creating a map of success. And so what does that look like? Make sure that you know where you're going and then kind of how you're going to get there. Now, it always changes and adjusts, but you want to make sure that you kind of have that roadmap to success. So the first thing that we want to make sure to do is be intentional. Don't just say that you're going to go to the gym to go to the gym. Why are you going to the gym? What are you wanting to accomplish? What are you going to do once you're there? That's your roadmap to success. I've seen so many people that go out and try to create something like a business, but then they get stuck buying all of the different courses or getting sucked into Facebook groups and then just spending all of their time with other people. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, weren't you setting out to like go and build a business? You're not building a business in a Facebook group, I promise you. So make sure that you have that success. The second thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to bring lots of hydration. So hydration for you going after your success can be something different for everybody. But hydration means that you're stepping and you're taking care of yourself. Anytime that we're doing any goal, I don't care if it's a business goal, a personal goal, you have to be willing to take care of yourself throughout the process, because it is a journey, my friends. Anybody that has done any of these big, audacious goals knows that it is absolutely going to take a lot out of you. There are going to be twists and turns that you weren't even expecting. And so make sure that the hydration system is something that is going to take care of you. This could even be your nutrition. It could be your hobbies. We've talked about that before, of making sure that you have hobbies, but it really needs to be, how do you come back and take care of yourself so that you're not burnt out by the end of it? I've helped a lot of people create some really amazing results in their life, but I'll tell you that I have absolutely watched some of my clients burn themselves out, where even when they get to the result, it's almost not worth it because of the price that they paid to get there. And so make sure that you're taking that hydration with you. It's the same thing when we talk about even hiking a mountain. You can see that people can and do these huge hikes without the proper nutrition or hydration. But once again, they're risking almost their lives in order to do it. So when we are actually going after that mountain of success, make sure that you're taking hydration with you. So you have your map, you have your intention, you have your hydration. Then the third thing that I want you to bring is friends. So there's so much power in actually hiking with a group of people. There are people that do solo climbing, things like that. But most of the time climbing, whether it's rock climbing or hiking, you want to have a buddy system with you, because oftentimes if you get into a really tight spot, you're going to be able to brainstorm and troubleshoot a lot better if you have another person there. When Eric and Ashley and my dad and uncle were up, I think they were sliding on the ice or something, but one of them slid too far, and it wasn't until the rope caught them that they actually were able to stop. And the rope was tied to the whole team, right? The other people. And so you want to be able to have that system in place. So the buddy system is important when you're climbing to the mountains of success. So when you are there, I want you to know that your buddy system can be anything. It can be a coach that you hire. It can be an accountability partner. It can be a best friend, a partner, a spouse. But you want to make sure that when you're climbing the mountain of success, you're not doing it alone. It can be so lonely as we go after these goals. Like I said, one of my clients is building a business and her husband is not supportive of it. And she doesn't have any other friends. All of her friends are stay-at-home moms. And so she's doing it by herself. And so she said when she hired me, she's like, I'm actually hiring you because I feel like I'm pretty alone on this journey and I don't want to feel alone anymore. So make sure that you're creating a buddy system for you on that pathway to the mountain of success. And then the fourth thing that I'm going to challenge you to get is really great equipment. Now, listen, you don't need all of the equipment. That is a really big misconception, but I want you to think about creating the best equipment that you can for yourself. The other day, I posted something about, somebody asked me a question about like, what's your best holiday baking tip? For any of you that don't know, I actually went to culinary school. Total side note, I'll have to share that story with you some other time. But I told them, I said, if you can buy really, really great vanilla extract and use the best butter that you can find, those are the two ingredients that I never skimp on when I'm baking. So it's the same thing with hiking. There are a couple of things that you really need that you don't want to scrimp on. So we live in Utah. There's a lot of hiking here. And I can tell you the two things that you need are socks and hiking boots that are going to be really good. We see people from all around the world come hiking here. Southern Utah, Zion, Arches, Lake Powell, even up where we live, lots of really, really fun places to hike. But I can always tell when we have some tourists here because you'll see that some of them are decked out. They have like hiking poles and the SPF hat and all of that. Amazing. Love that they did that, whatever they want. But remember that you don't need to have all of those things in order to hike. You really can have a couple of really great ingredients and still make a difference. So when you're on your way to the Success Mountain to reach the top, you want to make sure that you're doing these things so that you don't feel like you're alone trying to figure it out all along the way. If you can have those 4 elements that go into creating success, you'll notice that you are going to be able to create success, feel like you have what you need, and that you're going to be able to reach the top. Now, before I end, what I really want to mention is it can feel like you're alone until you get to the top. Because when you get to the top, if you look around, you're going to find that there are other successful people up there, but you have to be intentional about looking around. There is such an amazing community of high achievers, highly successful people, and they're successful in their own right. That doesn't always mean just money. I've met some of the most incredible people who would seem really average to most people, but they are highly successful in what they have put their minds to. And so remember that you can create a community of successful people at the summit by looking around and deciding who you want to spend your time with once you get to that summit. This has been really fun talking to you about success. If you have any questions or you want some more baking tips, come over to Drive Your Thoughts Coaching on Instagram and let's continue the conversation over there. This has been so much fun, and I'll see you next time on Drive Your Thoughts Coaching. Bye. Thanks for listening to this podcast episode. If you're ready to get in the driver's seat of your own life, you can come and follow me at Drive Your Thoughts Coaching on Instagram, or come and see more ways to work with me at driveyourthoughts.com.
Yeah, whether ready or not, life's coming hard, no breaks, no stop. And if you put me on the spot, don't get it twisted, I never drop. If you feel a bit out of control and out the box, here's a way that you could drive your thoughts. Turn this podcast on, it's a lock. Carrie Marshall on the clock.